Hello everyone, Caleb Simpson here, and you're watching my walkthrough for The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time 3D Master Quest for Nintendo 3DS. In the last couple videos, I completed the Ice Cavern and then the Water Temple first, and I haven't gone to Forest or Fire yet, and my big plan was I was going to go back to the past and do the well would be my next objective, just to do things in funky order. However, I apparently made a mistake because I didn't realize that Sheik only moves after you complete the Forest Temple quite specifically. I thought it was just any old adult dungeon. I was mistaken about that. Whoops! So I guess I know where we're going next. I do actually already have the Minuet of Forest, so that's nice. Anyways, I got that a couple videos ago. If you'd like to see how to do that, then just refer to those videos. Ah yes, my perfect chart is without error. You didn't see anything. Anyways, you can pause the video and look at this chart if you want to. What I did personally is when I got to the future, I went Ice Cavern, Water, and now I'm stuck doing Forest because there's nothing else I can do. Go ahead and enter this peaceful-looking dungeon ruins. Nothing bad could possibly happen. By the way, there is the Forest Medallion symbol above that doorway, and also this one during this cinematic. In general, just so you know, in the Forest Temple, a lot of the doorways that have more fringe and embellishment and like carpets and symbols above them, those are the ones that lead forward in the dungeon. So if you're in a room where everything looks kind of the same, both directions, but one door is more adorned, that means that that's the one that leads forward in the dungeon. Or at least that's how it is in regular Ocarina of Time. Master Quest kind of like shuffles things around and changes the order of events a little bit, so it is a little different. Also, for this tree, you need to climb up here, but you don't have to climb up near all these Squalchulas. You can just you go up the far side, and if you have the hookshot or long shot, you can get up the vines pretty easily that way and save you some climbing time. Anyways, you want to get on top of the first tree, jump across to this side, step on the switch. This will make a chest appear, which you can either jump back across or use the hookshot or long shot to get to. I already have the long shot, so that's nice, because I did water first. Grab the small key, then if you hop down, you'll often take damage here, but instead you can hop on top of this roof. I think that's a little bit nicer. In this next room, there is a Skulltula that is as soon as you enter, which is kind of annoying. So just make sure you're not just holding forward by default just because you're in a hurry. Otherwise you'll take damage. So you can kill all three of these. Normally there's only one of them in this room, but for Master Quest there's three. There's also a gold Skulltula that is in this room. Kind of sneaky though, because you hear all the other spiders and you just kind of ignore it and keep going. Anyways, with that key we can now open this door. Run away, little women. That's right, isn't it? Is the names, Amy, Beth, etc., those are from the book Little Women? I didn't read it, but I'm male, so there's that. By the way, I think, was that ever required reading? I know it's a classic or whatever. Was that required reading in schools at one point? Because I was homeschooled, so I missed out on a lot of that kind of stuff. Although, I heard that, like, high schools, like, I don't know, 10 and 20 years ago, or I don't know. Maybe even before that. I think maybe it's even more like 30 or 40 years ago. They started having a lot more, like, dark stories that was like required reading instead, Lord of the Flies, etc. And I didn't have to go through any of that stuff myself, which I'm grateful for. I had happy things, like I had studied up on like Egyptian history and stuff like that, which was fascinating. So I enjoyed most of the books that I had to read. I feel like this room is significantly easier. It used to be a Stalfos in this room, and I think, and now we just have a Wolfos. Or two Wolfos, which they die really fast. I have the Begoran sword, by the way, which makes some things a little bit easier. In this particular case, didn't matter. Will come in handy for some of the Stalfos battles. I do feel like the Forest Temple doesn't have anywhere near as much healing as the Water Temple does. So I did Water Temple first, thinking it would be harder, but at the same time, they had so much healing that it wasn't a problem. So once you have the small key from defeating those Wolfos, return to the main room, and then take a left, unless you're one of them GameCube people, and enter the only door that we can use right now. Now here we have a Stalfos fight. This is a little rough because we don't have a lot of room. You might want to start actually by using your sword if you have the Begoran sword anyways. Just to use your shield by itself. And then my trick for Stalfos is to like space out your attacks and stab. This is true with the Master Sword as well, but you can easily take out Stalfos very quickly this way, and they can't do anything to you. It's kind of getting that started in the first place is really the trick, and avoiding their jump attack at the very beginning. That's kind of the thing about that. Navi is, of course, very upset by all the graffiti. I mean, who would dare to defile this sacred place? Now, you want to pull this first block back just like we normally would once it reaches the corner. Now, normally you would push it over to the left, but in this case, what we want to do is actually pull it back the way we came. So, once it gets to that corner, pull it back this way. This gets it out of the way enough that we can walk around it. So squeeze past it. There's a block over here. We can't do anything with that at the moment. Instead, go up the ladder. And basically, this whole puzzle, instead of there being a single block in each place, there's two blocks in the way. So we need to deal with that real quick. So go in here. I'm all spun about because it's in Master Quest. And now pull this one back. This is the first block, and you'll hear it click, so listen for it. Boom, there you go. So that was the first click, so that's done now. Now we need to just go back down the ladder. You can go this way, or you can fall down right here. And go through the doorway, so then once again maneuver past this block. Here's that blue block again, you can pull it here, but otherwise you go out through this way. Now at this point too, by the way, I forgot to get this, there's a gold sculpture down there in the corner, there's the entrance to the room on the lower level. So here at this mid-level, you can... I'm just going to use the long shot. I don't think that the hook shot would be quite long enough to do this specifically, but I forgot to get that gold sculpture earlier. Anyways, you want to push this second blue block, and then push it until it clicks. And now once again, just climb up like you normally would, and then there's a second red block, and this one you just want to push until it snaps into place. Alright, so at this point you just climb up like normal, and there is this shortcut right here. You step on this floor switch, and it will create a target here. Now, I think you can reach it if you stand on top of one of these platforms, but the hook shot will allow you to get up here. Oh, wait, that's not entirely true. Wait, there's two shortcuts. So yeah, you can hook shot to that one, and then you can climb up on top of these ice blocks and then get up here. If you have the long shot, you can make it all the way. I think even from the very bottom floor you can reach it. But yeah, that shortcut's nice, we don't have to climb as much. Here you can ignore the blue bubbles if you don't want to deal with them. You shouldn't have a key at this point. Enter this door. What I'd actually recommend you do is go ahead and leave this door at this point, and then, now that we've re-entered this room, go ahead and use... And this will allow us to make a shortcut back here if we want to save a little bit of time. I don't think this is super useful at the moment, but it will come in handy later. And we're about to get some magic, so it'd be nice to replenish it. Or yeah, we're going to replenish our magic anyway. So now we're getting the boss key early, which is weird. They do that a lot for Master Quest, which is kind of funny. Get the boss key, then hop down. Kill the Floor Master. Ideally, you can use a spin attack right away. And these guys often drop magic. You can do quick spins as well, but I just feel like a regular spin attack is still... It's almost more reliable to get the timing well on that. Plus, I just can't do spin attacks to save my life in Ocarina of Time. I don't know why. Okay, in this area, what you want to do is enter the second alcove, whatever. And here's a little tip, by the way. Like, you don't usually do this very much, but it's pretty effective. Just use a hook shot or long shot on Redeads and Gibdos. I mean, you can do the Sun Song to stun them as well, but it's almost faster this way, you know? Still think the Sun Song is better if you have more than one, you know? Key. Grab that, go back this way. Now enter the door on the left. We'll deal with this room later. We don't have everything we need for this at the moment. Well, I don't know. It's kind of out of our way. We'll waste time if we go down there right now. Boop. Smack this. What it will do, it does two things. It will rotate the hallway, and it will also remove these ice blocks here. Now, you can get up again by using the lower target. Otherwise, if you have the long shot, then you can go to the top one to save a little bit of time. And I realized I could use Pharaoh's Wind, but I'm going to save that for later. To make transporting around easier. Okay, hallway's twisted. Yeah, I know. She was supposed to do that notification earlier, actually. I think there's pressure plates on the floor that I didn't quite step on the exact spot, and I didn't like it. Okay, so here's the same Stalfos battle as usual. However, it is a little more awkward because they do a lot more damage this time, so it makes them scary. Also, just note that the second set, the doubles of Stalfos here, are going to be a lot harder. Here's my tip for this, by the way. I talked about this a little bit earlier, and I've showed it in previous videos, but if you stab at them, you can often just get past their defenses. The trick for that, by the way, is to kind of space it out a little bit. And as long as you're Z-targeting one, or L-targeting, whatever, then you should be able to just have the other one ignore you. Only one of them should attack you at a time. Now remember, for the second battle, there is two Stalfos, and one of them becomes bones on the ground. You have to defeat the other one. Unfortunately, you can't lay bombs on them like you can in some of the other Zelda games, like Twilight Princess and Link to the Past. Otherwise, you could break their remains, and that would be cool to prevent them from respawning. Doesn't work that way in this. If you take too long, it will come back to life, which is sad. So, to beat them really quickly, so basically the trick with that is you stab them, but you space out your stabs a little bit, don't just button mash it. And this will allow you to get past their defenses. You just keep relentlessly going after them, and they will eventually die. Otherwise, you can back up to taunt them into using a jump attack, and that works pretty good too. Now, after you defeated them, you can grab some hearts if you want to. Remember, as I was saying earlier, that the doors with the symbols and the carpets are always the one that leads onward. In this case, we want to actually go back to the previous rooms. At this point, our goal is to return to the main chamber. However, as long as we're passing through, I'm going to go ahead and kill this Poe so that we can get the map. Oops, that is not the right button. Helps to equip it first. We need to kill this Poe anyway, but we might as well get the map as long as we're here. I don't really feel like the map is all that useful, and if you're playing this, you've already beaten regular Ocarina of Time, so the map's kind of worthless. I also feel like the map is pretty bad for the Forest Temple, because it doesn't really help you very much, because you're getting into rooms a variety of weird ways, like whether you're going through underground well passages or you're twisting hallways. It just, like, the map doesn't really reflect what you're actually doing very well at all. And in some cases, you're going back to the same room, but because it's oriented a different way, like, it means other things are happening. I don't know. The map is just not very helpful. It's actually one of my biggest complaints about Ocarina of Time is I mean, I'm glad I have a map, I guess, but it doesn't really tell you anything. It's just blobs, and yeah, everything's connected in really strange ways. Now, you could have warped back here using, but I don't really think it's super worth it. I'm actually using it to get back to this room from the other location. So once we finally come back to, once we finish these side rooms, then I'll go ahead and use Pharaoh's Wind at that point. Sorry, I mean. Anyways, another option too to get back to the main room is you can also save and quit. However, I don't think that's a good idea because then what happens is you're going to make, like, Stalfos reappear inside some of the hallways and stuff. Then you have to deal with them at that point. So kind of annoying. Anyway, so I'd recommend you just return back to the main room manually. Now that we have the fairy bow, you can shoot the eye switch that is above the doorway. This will then allow us to get inside this room. There is a couple big, not big Skulltulas, big Dekubabas here that you can defeat as well. Our goal for this room is two things to note. There is this chest. We're not supposed to be able to get to this yet because you're supposed to come from up there and then use this time block puzzle, moving them back and forth. However, if you have the long shot specifically, you can just grab this chest, which has a small key in it. You can grab it right now, and that would save us some steps. Normally, most of you would not have the long shot at this point, because people are typically doing the dungeons in the legit linear order, so you wouldn't have the long shot at this point, so that shouldn't be an option. I think technically you can reach that chest if you're at just the right angle with the hookshot, and it does work. Anyways, our goal here is to get on the other side of the well, and then facing back towards the room, you can shoot the eye switch that is inside the well next to the lip, which is totally obscure. I don't know why anybody would think to do that, but there you go. So there is a small key here. Now at this point, you can get two optional gold Skulltulas. One of them is just on the other side of the well. So after you collect that, you can climb the vines here. If you have the hookshot or long shot, you can also use this to get up some of the vines as well, so you don't have to climb as much. And you'll find another gold Skulltula. There's nothing we can do in this room, so hop back down the vines here and go all the way back through the well. Okay, so once you get back to the entrance door, what you want to do is kill the gold Skulltula that is next to this target. Go ahead and grab that token, and then use the target that it was guarding. This allows us to get on top of the doorway, which is weird. And off to the one side, you'll see that there is a time block and Navi flying over and turning green. Yay! Now, this is kind of a funky thing. So we create this time block. What's actually happening, I'm pretty sure, is that it's in the wall. And then when you stand in this position, you activate two different time blocks at the same time. So you're activating the one behind us and this one in front of us. This one is also in the wall, but this is one of its possible summoning locations. So we're not actually moving the block behind us to in front of us. We're moving it back into the wall, and then this other one we're moving from the wall to in front of us. So I know it's kind of a weird thing. It's just based on our current standing position. This is one of the first like movement puzzles that's a little bit weird. There is this puzzle back here. Again, you can get that chest early if you stand at just the right position with the hookshot. Otherwise, you can get it with a long shot right now, which I do have. But anyway, that time block puzzle over there will have some more traditional moving back and forth to explain what I've been talking about. Anyway, what you want to do is go ahead and kill the Skulltula that is there. Open up this chest to get another small key. At this point, you can go over here optionally if you want to. There's no particular reason to do so. However, I did want to show this real quick, just how to get through this. This is kind of sweet. So kill the Skulltula. Now at this point, you can shoot an arrow through the flame to light it on fire. or La Cobweb, and this will allow you to go through this door. This takes us back to the other room. There's no real reason to go this way, though. I think this one you'll take damage. I don't know. I don't like crawling down these things with these Skullwaltulas, so I think it's better to just fall down from this room over here. A little safer. Grab that. There we go. We can roll without taking damage. Okay, now at this point, all we need to do is we're going all the way back to the twisty room. So you can go back through the main room and then go through the door on the left and then go all the way up to the top. There is a shortcut, so it's not actually that far, but if you like, you can go ahead and just use to return to the warp point. Alright, so we've returned to the Fairy Bow room. I completed the door behind us, which was the red ghost, so now we're moving on forward. And again, you can tell which way is forward because it has the symbol above it and the carpet. Now, when you're fighting these ghosts, a little tip for you too, by the way, if you're not going to block them with your shield, you can try to make them bonk into a wall on purpose. And that was a little bit awkward because it went into a corner. But anyway, what I was going to say, though, is you can do like this. Try and get it to go towards a corner diagonally. And as a result, it won't travel as far. As opposed to going the entire length of the room. If you can get it kind of going diagonally in a corner somewhere, then you don't have to wait as long for that animation. This chest leads to the compass, which will... It does help for the last little bit. Doesn't really matter for most of this dungeon, though. But right before we get to the boss, it is kind of handy to have. Oops. Didn't mean to go that way. Now, at this point, if you've been following along, you should have 2 keys. And so that's what you need in order to get through here. You could optionally have 3 if you use the long shot to get that puzzle, or to get that chest out on that platform I was talking about earlier. But most of you probably don't have access to the long shot at this point. Ignore the green bubbles, we don't care. Alright, in this room what we want to do is we want to hold down this blue switch, and there's a box over here on this platform. So we want to grab it, and try not to get sucked up by Z-targeting that eye switch. Set the box on top of this platform. This will light the nearby torch. Now, if you don't have Din's Fire, you have Din's Fire, you can just go on that platform and just do that. If you don't have Din's Fire, though, you're going to have to do this, where you use the lit torch to shoot an arrow through the flame to melt the ice and activate the switch, which twists the hallway. Now at this point, one other thing that this switch down here in the middle does, this floor switch, is it also creates this temporary ice block thing right there. Now I think, actually I'm pretty sure you can just shoot this. Let's find out. Oh, no, never mind. It's more like a Majora's Mask kind of thing, I guess. Stop. So when you step off that, it takes it a second, but then it finally disappears. It's kind of dumb looking, really. Anyway. So that's the trick, is we put the thing on the switch so we could activate the torch, but it also blocks the door. So then you just remove the box afterwards and you're fine. And we don't care about the wall masters, just get out of here. Okay, now here, watch out for the ceiling. I always thought the ceiling was weird. Okay, there is 2 switches, the one straight ahead. This is the one we want. Yeah. Oh, it scared me. I hate these. You know what? It's gonna take too long. Can't make a run for it at this point. Beware all the spiders. Okay, go back to the beginning and then go out through this door. Now, as I was saying earlier, you could have gotten this little chest by using the long shot earlier if you had it, which I do, but I didn't do it because I wanted to show how to do it legit. So here's how you would solve this puzzle normally, is you come down here, grab this small key. Now at this point, what you want to do is use multiple time blocks to create a set of steps back. Unfortunately, the second one, what it does, though, is it moves the bottom one. So if you end up messing this up and falling back down, then you'll have to, like, reposition it at the bottom again. It's fine. It's not a big deal. You just go to all the places where Navi flies over and turns green. And you can do it just fine. Go back through here. Now that we have a key, we can finally go through that door. This other chest contains arrows. You can grab it if you want to. But you probably have more than enough. Besides, they give us arrows in the next room, so I'm not worried about it. I always thought this puzzle was kind of weird. Remember, move the blue block out of the way, because we definitely don't want that one. This puzzle is definitely easier if you do it right away. If it ends up turning, or if all the blocks end up rotating, I think it's actually easier to just leave the room and come back in again. I always thought this puzzle was kind of weird. I don't know, for some reason this just feels out of place to me, kind of. It feels like a strange puzzle, and yet it probably wouldn't feel out of place in, like, the Oracle games. The Oracle games have, and Link's Awakening for that matter, have a whole bunch of weird puzzles in it, and I think my favorites in those, though, are, like, as far as, like, weird puzzles, that is. I think my favorite in the Oracle series is those ones where you step on the tiles and they change color, and you need to step on each tile once, and then get through the room while activating each floor tile once, so it's all one color. I think those ones are kind of fun. Once again, if you can, try to get her in a corner-ish so that she's not traveling so far. There we go. This one's Amy, I think. Come to me. Oops, oops. Oh, that was horrible. Yeah, that's right. I feel like the first part of this dungeon is very different. Like, a lot of the puzzles are kind of funky, but then the second half just feels very similar to regular Ocarina of Time, so it's not really all that exciting in my opinion. And as always, remember the trick with Meg here is just to make sure that you wait to see which one spins before you start. I recommend you don't see target for that. And then you can smack her with either arrows or arrows or the long shot / hook shot. Grab the one I want. There you go. Oh my goodness. That's the problem though, Z-targeting is like kind of awful. I suppose you could just manually aim with it too. But don't start doing that until after you see which one it is. Like that. I always thought it was funny that you could rise up on the elevator like this. I always try to do that if I know where the chests are going to spawn. Like in a lot of the rooms where it's going to be a dungeon item or whatever, I try to like get in weird positions on purpose. Okay, so first we want to change the color to purple. And then we're trying to head west. There's a switch on the ceiling. Use that, then use the floor switch. Let's see, the northeast... Northeast? Yeah, northeast has a chest with arrows, but then meanwhile the far south, which is going to be black-blue again, far south has the next switch, which we just opened. So there's an eye switch in there that we need to get. And that's it. That's all we had to do here. I feel like this is, like, way simpler. You know? Like, honestly, this feels like less steps to me compared to regular Ocarina of Time. I think it's funny. It almost feels like Master Quests are like, okay, we're gonna come up with clever puzzles, and then at a certain point they're like, you know what, just forget it, we're done. We're moving on. Oh no, it's Ganondorf with the exact same zoom-in cinematic that we had back at the drawbridge at Hyrule Castle. And then he like reveals his mask, which is, or whatever. It's like he takes off the face mask, which actually makes his face bigger or something. I don't know, his disguise. I never considered actually that now that I'm older, I wonder if like the whole reason that we have this guy as a boss is actually because they were trying to save on assets and they didn't want to spend as much development time on this one, or as opposed to just lore reasons. I'm fine with it though. Anyway. So, one quick tip about this boss, in case you didn't know, is that he comes out of two different paintings, and only one of them is real. However, the real one will make a lot of noise, the other one doesn't. It also looks slightly different, it's a little more... I don't know, it looks three-dimensional, as opposed to the other one, which looks more flat. So between the two of them. It's totally this one. If you're wearing headphones in particular, this makes it a lot easier because you can hear it more out of one speaker or the other. So it makes it very obvious as you turn around, like, which direction he's coming from. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can check it out real quick and get a feel for it. But yeah, totally this one. You can tell he's a bad guy because he wants to play tennis. Only bad people play tennis. That's a joke, by the way. He has this super rare attack that, like, you never see, but he does this, like, he charges up his spear and does a spinny move towards you. It's, like, really rare. Oh, I almost had him there. Oosh. So, question. If we were to fry a marshmallow over his flames right now, would it only cook the marshmallow spirit, or would it cook the whole thing IRL? Like, so could you have, like, a perfectly normal-looking marshmallow, you bite it and it's burned. It's just like carbon for the soul. Be gone, ghosty poo. Make sure you grab the heart container before you leave. I always thought her expression here was just super flat. Like, she just looks really sleepy. I know you didn't want my ocarina. You probably don't want my medallion either, but take it anyway. Green coaster acquired. I wonder if these things shrink. They're pretty big. Then again, I guess we have a whole bunch of items that all fit in our inventory somehow anyway. That's right, you'll always be just a friend. Oh no. This tree has, like, the most intense miracle grow ever. Deku Tree Scrub. Noob. Long ago, when fires raged across Hyrule, there was a boy and his mom. Deku Tree was like, "What's that?" And she lived beneath his branches. And after she faded away, then you were the only one left. And somehow, everyone forgot to mention the fact that you were actually a Hylian. Awkward. But luckily, we gave you this epic name. So at this point, if you save and quit, then you'll appear back in the Temple of Light. Or Temple of Time, excuse me. No, you don't. You go right back to the Sacred Realm. Anyways, you go back to the Temple of Time, and then Sheik will then move out from the pedestal so we can go back to the past, but we also get the Prelude of Light so that we can warp back here quickly. Although you could just save and quit to accomplish the same thing, so I'm not really sure if that really saves us much time. You destroyed all evil. Good job. Let me just help you break logic here. As long as you hold the Ocarina of Time and the Master Sword... Yeah, can't read the rest. Alright, so that'll conclude this particular video. As always, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, be sure to throw a like on it, subscribe, stay tuned for more content just like this. Remember to stay awesome, you have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.